All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the year that was ... We are discussing 1997. I'm here with my brother Nate,
Hello.
Archie Mitchell,
What's up?
and Mark Brew, and I am obviously Aaron Maxon, and we are discussing the year of 1997. We're just coming out of Cold Day in Hell, which was a pretty good pay-per-view. So we are discussing the WCW Nitro and the WWF Raw from May 12th, 1997. But before we do that, we'll go ahead and go down our top 10 charts. If you guys are ready to do that, unless you got anything to talk about at the top of the show.
I don't have anything.
I'm good.
Let's roll.
All right. This is it's not a week to week segment or week to week thing that we do on here. It's just something that every once in a while I want to do it. It's the top 10 songs and the top 10 movies of that were on the top 10 list, obviously, during this week. The songs are kind of the same. It's Paula Cole in at number 10 with Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Number 9, I Want You by Savage Garden. And if you guys have anything to say about these songs, you can pipe in. Number 8, The Freshman by the Verve Pipe. They were a boring band too. I Belong to You by Rome. For You I Will, Monica. Foolish Games by Jewel. Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison. Say You'll Be There by the Spice Girls. Hypnotized by Biggie Smalls. And the number one song in America. What was that?
Huh?
I'm scared.
But the number one song in America at this time, Bop, still number one by Hanson. Bop.
Jesus Christ. Dop.
What?
Bop.
Wasn't it Puff Daddy last time we did this?
I can't remember. Maybe.
Yeah,
But Hanson.
I believe it was.
Hanson has taken over. So
Lord help us.
yes.
Those were the ugliest little girls I've ever seen.
Now the top 10 movies. Number 10, Anaconda. Number 9, Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion. Number 8, Sprung. Number 7, Night Falls on Manhattan. Number 6, Liar Liar. Number 5, Volcano. Number 4, Breakdown. Number 3, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Number 2,
Yeah.
Father's Day. And then number 1 is a movie that everybody seems to really love, but I find annoying and I hate. It's The Fifth Element.
I love that movie.
I hate
How
that.
could you?
I don't know why, and I'm a Bruce Willis fan, but I hate that fucking movie.
How could you hate Lulu Dallas Multipass?
Chicken.
I don't know.
The
I
big.
don't know if it's Tucker's character in that movie or what, but there's just something about that movie that I cannot fucking stand. Like I'm and like I said, I'm a Bruce Willis fan, but I will watch Hudson Hawk before I watch The Fifth Element.
Hudson Hawk was a bad movie.
I like Hudson Hawk.
Damn.
But anyway, those are our movies and our songs, everybody. You guys have anything you got to say about those? It's kind of the same list that we've had, so I might retire.
Breakdown was an underrated movie. That was like Kurt Russell and his wife break down in the middle of nowhere, and then this sheriff and his buddies torture her, and he's trying to get to her. It was actually a very underrated movie for like 97.
Probably the worst movie on that list was Sprung.
Right.
And to answer the question, where have all the cowboys gone? They went home on the range.
Right. Good call, Mark.
Like I said, it was a lot of the same list of the list is looking kind of the same, so I think we're gonna put a pin in it for a week, and then I'll get back to it and see if it's any better when we go into when we come out of Slam. Like we got Slamboree coming up, I believe is the next show. So probably after Slamboree, we'll hit back into the top 10 lists. So usually, like I said, when we come out of a pay-per-view, we go with whatever show, whatever promotion, whatever pay-per-view we came out of. So we're coming out of the WWF Cold Day in Hell. So we're going to first talk about WWF Raw is War. It was from Newark, Delaware. The show opens with Vince McMahon recapping some of the highlights from In Your House, Cold Day in Hell. Photos courtesy of the WWF magazine. Which I always thought it was funny when they put that because, like, what else would they be courtesy of?
Right.
PWI? Like,
especially back then. I mean, nowadays they have courtesy PWI when they do like historical retrospectives and stuff. But
this time,
back
like,
then, yeah.
There was a point where he didn't even let anybody film, like, photo his shit. I mean, this was different times, but you know what I mean.
Photos courtesy of Harvey Whippleman.
Yeah. Pyro goes off, and Jim Ross welcomes us to WWF Raw is War. Excuse yourself. The entire Heart Foundation. The entire Heart Foundation are out on the ramp. Brett says that he trusts the Heart Foundation to breathe for him and pump his blood with their hearts. Bret Hart calls the American fans pathetic and bad people. He continues to badmouth Austin and says that Austin got what he deserved, like talking about beating him up, beating him down, or whatever, causing him to lose the lose his chance. Yeah, cost him his victory at Cold Day in Hell. Austin, he calls Austin a loser, and then switches over to the Undertaker, saying he'll be taking the WWF Championship now. Brett then says he has a special announcement, and the fans keep chanting at him to, like, basically go home and shut up. And he decides that if they're going to act that way, he's not going to tell them his big special announcement, his big surprise, and he rolls away.
Literally.
It's a pretty good opening segment, and Brett being up on the ramp in the wheelchair is one of the best visual things that it's ever been in wrestling. Like, he's just looking down on everybody and everything that's going on. Like, it's this little perch or his throne or whatever. I like it a lot.
Well, the fact that he's Canadian and he's, basically trying to downgrade the American fans, it's pretty compelling stuff because it's going to get heat.
So you guys got anything else on that?
No, nothing I haven't said already on the show about Brett as a heel. It's amazing.
Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler then hype the show and the start of the King of the Ring tournament, which the first round of the King of the Ring tournament is going to be the first match of the first round of the King of the Ring tournament is going to be Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Ahmed Johnson. I can say this, and I know I dogged the guy a lot and everything like that, but this crowd was totally into Ahmed Johnson. Like, he got like a huge pop. People were jacked to see him. Johnson had the advantage. Jesus Christ, what are you doing?
Someone just got hit with a frying pan.
I don't know what that was. I'm professional. Anyway, I'm kidding, Nate. Just saying, we don't do jabroni shit like that on fucking We Can't Wrestle podcast.
We do jabroni shit like that on the We Can't Wrestle podcast every week.
Every week.
Ahmed Johnson takes advantage. Johnson had the advantage, but then China ended up nailing Johnson with a chair. They tried to get away. Johnson caught up with them. The officials separated them. Ahmed Johnson ended up winning via disqualification. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was just kind of there, and I don't think they wanted Hunter to lose. I don't think they wanted Ahmed to lose either, so they just kind of...
Well, I mean, glad that it wasn't Ahmed because I don't know if I could take a King Ahmed Johnson.
Well, I mean, he's advanced in the tournament. It might wind up being him. We don't know.
I have a question. Did at any point China nail Ahmed Johnson in his Johnson?
No, because Ahmed Johnson would not allow that to happen because he, quote unquote, said, "I ain't bumping for no bitch." And they asked him,
Yeah, that's what Foley said. book. Ahmed
And
said.
that's why they turned him heel and took his push away because he wasn't willing to cooperate.
She would have hit him so hard she'd have knocked that damn wedgie out of his freaking trunks. Jesus.
Might have been able to understand him.
Right?
At one point in the match, though, Vince said Farouk took advantage of an exhausted Ahmed Johnson. I was like, this is essentially the pot calling the kettle black.
So the next thing we got is Vince McMahon is set to interview Stone Cold Steve Austin, who has a crutch with him. Austin comes out, like I said, he has the crutch with him. McMahon says it was a hell of a match. And Austin says, I'll knock your head off your neck. Like, you had a hell of a match. And he's like, I'll knock your head off your neck. I just thought it was like, he wasn't like, I don't want you patronizing me. He just said, I'll knock the shit out of you, basically, which was fun. And then he said that he'll eventually become WWF champion. He calls Bret Hart a worthless piece of trash and says that the best way to kill a snake, obviously, is to chop its head off. But he's going to go in reverse, and he's going to chop the ass off the snake first, and that is Brian Pillman. And he said, I'll cripple you. And sorry, he said, I crippled you, and I carried your stupid ass in the Bush Leagues for years. So they hinted towards them being a tag team in WCW, got their little knock-in on WCW. It all made sense, and it was a good little quick promo from Austin that just kind of said that, yeah, he wants the championship, but he's more pissed now than he ever was at the Hearts because they fucked him. So he's going to put his title aspirations on the back burner because he's got to take care of these guys first.
It's too bad that Brian Pillman died because it would have been great to see him as a challenger for Austin in 1998.
Agreed.
Maybe they could have really done something with those guys.
Oh yeah, especially going back to
because at this part, Pillman's the part of a group, so it's kind of like their story's kind of muddled up with everything else. If they could have at some point like shed everything else away and it just been those two, I think it would have been great.
Yeah.
And promos alone.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Promos.
I keep cutting you off. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the promos alone would have sold that match.
And like I always said too, like that's one of my the Austin thing's correct, but one of my like, man, I wish that would have happened. Would have been a feud between Shawn Michaels and Brian Pillman.
Oh, that would have been great too. Yeah,
fantastic. We never got to see it, which is unfortunate. Or it's possible that Pillman would have maybe wound up in DX. Like, it's a distinct possibility.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. As soon as Brett left, he might have.
Because I don't see Pillman bolting in '97 when the Brett stuff happens. I don't see it. I think he would have seen that this is where I need to be because these guys get it. You know what I mean? They get what the fuck's going on over here. I honestly think he had all the intention in the world of going back to WCW with that ECW thing, but then saw the NWO. You know what I mean? And was like, this isn't where I'm going to get lost in this fucking shuffle. Or, you know what I mean? And these guys they're doing something over here. And I'm going to go. Like, I don't think he had intention when he went to ECW of breaking his word with Eric. But
they left him no choice. They left him no choice after that.
So, the next thing we get is the debut of a superstar. He's not a superstar yet. Nate, I know you probably didn't watch the show, correct?
Correct.
So you don't know who I'm talking about.
I tried to watch the show, but I was told the 18th.
I messed up.
I'm only playing with you.
I'm on drugs, man.
Drugs.
He means pain meds, everybody.
Right.
How
horrible. This is where Aaron chose to come out about his drug abuse. I'm on drugs, man.
Give me a break.
But we're gonna get the debut of a guy here coming in the WWF. He didn't have much of a career in the WWF because of some injuries down the line. But for some reason, they changed his last name, even though he has a famous father. It is the son of Ivan Pussy, Scott Putski. So they must have not wanted
the younger pussy.
Yeah, they didn't want to call him the young pussy.
No wonder Vince chose to bring him out.
Like, imagine if you would have had imagine if you had a stellar career and became like the biggest star in the world and went on to make action movies and comedy action movies and dramas and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, there could have been a show on NBC right now called Young Pussy.
My thing about it, like the whole thing, he really don't. To me, he really doesn't look like his father. He looks like Lou Ferrigno in a wig.
Right.
He looks like Caveman Attorney from Saturday Night Live.
That too. You know who he always reminded me of? You know those two muscular twins? Remember the muscular twins in the 90s that were always in those stupid movies? I forgot what their names were, though.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. That's who you reminded me of.
Telling me they should have brought him in and called him Scott Meltzer?
Yes.
Dave Meltzer looks like a caveman attorney.
I also put in my notes that his entrance music was the music from his favorite pornographic film.
Young Pussy.
It was horrible.
But it is obviously the debut of Ivan Putski's son, Scott Putski. They're showing footage of Scott Putski, and Jerry Lawler says that Ivan Putski had muscles in places that most people don't. Had muscles in places that most people don't even have places. Ivan, we're not gonna get too much into him, but he's like the '70s Scott Steiner. And I know it's gonna sound crazy, but it's like you look at like what he looked like in the early '70s or whatever, and then you get into like the late '70s and '80s, and you're like, that's not the same guy.
Yeah, he was a big fat guy. Like,
yeah, he wasn't fat, but he was like a barrel chested, like the
Bruiser,
or the Crusher or something like that. Beer barrel or beer belly, drinking, hairy, floppy hat, and then you get into like the late '70s into the '80s, and he's fucking way bigger than what his frame should have supported. And his kid was similar because he was as big as he wasn't as muscular as his dad, but he was his dad's height, and I think that's. Going down the road, he's going to get an injury, and I think that has a lot to do with Scott Putski being more injury prone. It's just you're a little guy like that, you shouldn't be built like that, you know.
See, I liked Scott Putski in Global though. When he was in GWF, I thought he was fantastic, and then when he got called up to the WWF, it was like, okay, I don't know if they wasted him or he just didn't give them anything to believe in because he fell flat.
He did. I just think he couldn't.
He was a big fish in a small pond in GWF, and then he got up in the WWF, and it was like, you're in shark waters now, buddy.
Completely different story. Yeah.
Good.
I put in my notes that this for me is the reason that Al Snow snapped and helped me on his forehead and started toting around the head. Because if you put Scott Putski over on me, I'd lose my shit too.
Right.
But it's like Mark said, he was facing Leif Cassidy in this match. But Scott ends up winning with a belly-to-belly suplex, and that's his victory. And it was a weird
match because they could have ended the match on like 3 different spots, and they didn't.
Yeah, well, at one point when they were doing the reversal of an Irish whip, he completely let go of the hand. And
Right.
then you see Leaf Cassidy reach out and grab the hand again, like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? This is how this is supposed to go.
And that's that. At this point, that was Leaf Cassidy's job in the WWF.
Right.
Like, there's a reason that he's like the guy that people keep debuting again. Like if I remember right, we had a series of matches with Rock and Leaf Cassidy. You know what I mean? It's like, go out if you get in the ring with Al Snow and you don't get better, like within 3 or 4 months or whatever, then you got to go because you're not going to get any
Right.
better.
Right.
Al's
Well,
the
I mean, let's be honest. Nobody was knocking down Vince's door saying, hey, we want to see more of the new Rockers.
yeah, I understand that, but like I said, that was Al's job. He was on the fly training these guys. Like, yeah, you have your fundamentals, and you were good enough to get noticed and get here, but now I'm going to teach you how to actually work
Right.
on
The
TV
WWF style.
in the WWF style. But it's like Mark said, Leaf ends up getting pinned by Scott Putski, and then he flips and ends up. It's actually a pretty cool way to attack him. He like just jumps out of nowhere onto Scott Putski. Scott Putski ends up coming back and takes out Cassidy again, and he runs away. I thought it was a decent segment. It wasn't anything. It wasn't. I don't want to say it.
It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was what it was.
Yeah, but it wasn't cringeworthy either. It was just
Right.
get the guy on the show. Here's this new character we got. There you go. It's like we debuted this new character, plus we're gonna get Al's or Leaf's little crazy gimmick over a little bit. So, I didn't think it was bad.
No.
Was it something that maybe should have been on Raw? Maybe not.
Or
But
Superstars?
it was what it was. Yeah,
I'm sure they had.
Superstars.
I'm sure they had bigger. I'm sure they had bigger plans for Putski than it wound up having to.
I think they did too. The next thing we see is the Nation. LOD comes out. The Nation of Domination then comes out. Farouk is trying to decide what members of the Nation of Domination are going to face the Legion of Doom, and he decides it's going to be the rappers, JC Ice and Wolfie D. So he sends them down. And I know Archie's going to yell at me or be mad or whatever, but I think I'll say this all day. PG-13 is one of the underrated, low-key, like, cool tag teams in wrestling, I think.
I'm not going to yell, I promise. I'll be nice. You're entitled to your opinion. Maybe I was a little harsh on them, and it wasn't really against the team of PG-13 as much as it was against Jamie Dundee. Because for whatever his father, Bill Dundee was a great wrestler. I don't think that Jamie followed in his father's footsteps, is my point.
Jamie's a basket case, though.
Yeah.
What's that?
Jamie's a basket case.
Yeah, exactly.
But their team was cool. Like
the concept was cool, and sometimes their raps were funny.
And being the little chicken shit heels that even know they're not even bad enough to say that we're rated R. We're PG-13. Like, whoa, hold on. We're not triple X and nothing. We're PG-13. It's like, I like the gimmick.
I put in my notes that the decision to put PG-13 in there was solely based on their haircuts.
That's funny. That is funny.
So the match is going on. JC Ice does some silly. He pops up and he does some karate, like comedy karate stuff. Some over acting with the karate shit, type stuff. And then Hawk is like looking at him and he does it. And then Hawk just fucking just clotheslines him and knocks him on his ass. JC Isons have taken the Doomsday, and so does Wolfie D. And obviously, the winners of the match are the Legion of Doom. And it was just a way to show that the Nation of Domination members were afraid of LOD, plus showing off LOD's dominance. And I don't know if we see PG-13 after this.
I'm pretty sure this is their swan song because I don't even think they're there when everybody gets fired.
Right, I was just about to say.
They just bring out a bunch of random, guys in suits to get fired.
Right, Nation members.
Yeah, Nation members. But yeah, I think this is it for PG-13.
Like
what a way to get thrown out of a company. LOD with your ass.
Yes.
Like you knew it was going to be a squash, but like I did enjoy the fact that Hawk actually did let them get that pile driver in, even though it was a double team one. But like he actually, at least gave them a little something instead of it just completely obliterating them.
Yeah, which is probably like, hey, the kids are good, like the kids are nice or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, let's give them a little bit of a moment. But I enjoyed it. It was comedy for the most part, but enjoyable, which is how you would sum up PG-13's career.
True.
It was comedy, but it was enjoyable, in my opinion. And Jamie Dundee.
Followed by comedy, too.
Yes. Well, yeah. What followed it?
The reality check commercial.
Which one was it? I didn't write that down because we had talked about it before.
No, this is the one where the woman's in the bed and she was like, when I got married to Al, I think his name was, he really let himself go. He's like smashing a bowl of cereal.
Shawn Michaels guy.
Yeah, and then he's like, she's like, but now he's just so attractive, and he's in there doing the Shawn Michaels dance, coming to the bed. She's like, beforehand, she was like, the train hasn't visited the station in quite some time.
Oh, Jesus.
She was like, it may be his new George Clooney haircut. I had to laugh from a good spot watching that.
I forgot to
I didn't know they had that camera in my bedroom.
The next thing is Mankind comes out and cuts a promo about burning the Undertaker. He says that he tried again. He says that he tried again but hurt Uncle Paul instead, calling Undertaker a coward, and then he called Undertaker a coward, and he asked everyone to show respect to the disfigured Uncle Paul. Then Uncle Paul comes out, and it looks like he's got a diaper on his head.
Yes.
Pretty sure that's where they got the inspiration for the Yeti.
Yeah.
And then Paul Bearer said the Undertaker ruined everything, and he says he only has one more chance to reunite or he'll spill the beans. About basically the terrible...
No spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil it, but Undertaker has a deep, dark secret that he does not want to come out. And Paul Bearer is essentially saying, I know the Undertaker's past, and if the Undertaker does not come back to me, I will tell everybody. He has one more chance. And then him and Mankind leave. I think, obviously, when you think of Paul Bearer, you automatically think of his association with the Undertaker, and those guys' careers are,
synonymous
with each other. But Mankind and Paul Bearer they were great together.
It was a good pairing, I have to say.
Like William Moody did a great job with Mankind. Like there would be times Mankind would do some crazy shit, and even Paul Bearer was like, "Ugh, like this guy's fine." Like what say shit or whatever. Like Paul'd be behind him and be like, "Ugh, this guy's fucking weird," But I think they were really good together. Like Vader and Bear, all right, but fucking Mick and William Moody together, fucking great in my opinion.
Yeah, two fantastic talents.
They
And
understood each other.
Paul Bear trying to get the Undertaker back in front of Mankind. It's like being with an ugly chick and trying to get back your not so ugly ex. It's like I don't care if they're right here. This is happening.
But yeah, like I said, I just really like those guys together. So unless you guys get anything else on that, we'll move on.
Nope, we're good.
All right, then the war zone begins. They're hyping that Taker's up next, and the Hearts are watching from their locker room. Or Taker's coming up, and he's coming up in this match with Savio. It's going to be a non-title match. They just announced on commentary, and this is something I kind of miss, and I'm hoping maybe it comes back because I know this is a modern product show, but I've been watching the modern product since Hunter took over, and they're slowly getting back to kind of not going all the way back to old school shit, but they're starting to do more wrestling, like quote unquote wrestling angles and shit like that. But anyway, Farouk is announced on commentary as being the new number one contender. Like, it wasn't a match or a fucking angle. Like, he beat up the Undertaker, so now he's the number one contender. It was just like the WWF executives have decided that Farouk's the number one contender, and then Farouk brings up that there's never been a black man to get a shot at the WWF title because you people don't think we deserve it. And then he says those days are gone. Vince got defensive because Vince was interviewing Farouk. Vince got defensive and said, but anyway, Vince got defensive about the race thing, and then Farouk said the white savior, The Undertaker, goes down at King of the Ring 1997. Then The Undertaker comes out, and he's going to face Savio Vega in a non-title match. I shouldn't say there's not a lot to the match, but it's a non-title match, and it's just a way to get the Farouk Undertaker mini feud kind of going. Couple notes I have is that Undertaker walking the ropes will never not be impressive to me.
Agreed.
Right.
Never. I've seen it 1,000,000,000 times, however you want to say it. Every time I see it, it's like, that dude should not be able to do that. It's insane.
Like the pre-match race-related stuff, though, like they knew that was going to draw heat no matter where they were.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it would.
And what Farouk said was, "Your white savior, the Undertaker, will be a dead man." Well, no shit, that's the gimmick.
Right.
I was like, yeah, that made a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Right.
The Undertaker's 97 title reign is kind of a shame because so much other stuff was going on. Plus the Undertaker Paul Bear thing in the background.
Right.
His title reign is almost an afterthought in 97.
Yeah.
You know
Savio Vega actually got a lot of offense in that match, and I know me and you are big March for Savio, Nate. So I was like happy to see that they did just shit all over Savio.
He got a lot of offense because Undertaker was a mark for him.
Well, that's that's actually in my notes, guys. It's the Undertaker getting to work with Savio, Farouk, and Crush. At this point, it's like Undertaker's like, I get to work with my boys. You know what I mean? Like these are my compadres. You know, it'd only be better if fucking Yokozuna was out here. You know what I mean? I know Yoko wasn't around at this time, but like these are or or Papa Shango. Like, these are Taker's guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
And part of me feels that they obviously wanted to do the thing with Farouk, but part of me wonders if Undertaker, the
Lobby
man,
for it.
like, I have this belt now, I can do a little bit of lobbying, and I want to work with Ron. You know,
Right. If Sean could pick to work with Hunter and Diesel and Scott, and Brett could pick who he wants to work with, then by God, so am I. Why not?
yeah. So, Undertaker ends up getting the tombstone on Savio, and then the Nation of Domination attack. Farouk whips Taker with a belt, and the winner of the match via disqualification is the Undertaker. So I thought it was a decent segment, and it's taking Farouk's character in the promo and kind of evolving it and giving it a little bit more of a layer, and it was just,
It also showed vulnerability on the Undertaker.
yeah, like Undertaker normally wouldn't have been mobbed by people, but he's got, like, his character has, like, the Paul Bearer shit on his mind, you know what I mean? So he's maybe not as aware of his surroundings or what, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I agree with you.
Like, this is the first time that the Undertaker's character has somebody doing something to him that has him shaken up and concerned.
Right.
So I enjoyed it. You guys got anything else on Taker and Savio?
Nope.
All right.
Good.
The next thing is the next match is the WWF television debut of a man that will go on to become a huge legend in professional wrestling. It's Rob Van Dam.
The whole effing show.
The whole effing show, Rob Van Dam. But the funniest thing that happens in this, and we'll talk about it, Howard Finkel introduces Rob Van Dam's opponent. Okay. Do you guys remember who Mark watched the show? Archie watched some show that just watched the wrong show.
It was Jeff Hardy.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know.
Jeff Harvey.
Just Harvey.
But it's funny because the Fink goes introducing, and he's quiet for a second, and he just goes, "From Virginia, Jeff Hardy." Like he didn't have where he was from, so he just pulled Virginia out of his ass.
At least he didn't go introducing from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, he just said from Virginia. Like he said it in like entire state. Like I just thought it was funny.
I like how the King called him a John Bon Jovi wannabe.
And I'm pretty sure. Well, I know for a fact this isn't Jeff's WWF debut, but I'm pretty. Well, it's not even his Raw debut. I was going to say this is probably his Raw debut, but he fought Razor on Raw. That just popped into my head.
Yeah, him and Matt were wrestling on Raw when they weren't of age because they lied
in like 95.
Yeah,
but this is when they're starting to get noticed a little bit, I think. But Jerry Lawler ends up talking shit about Jerry Lawler comes out and he's saying that ECW sucks basically, and the only thing good about it is RVD, and he says that he's now stole RVD away from ECW. RVD says that ECW and their fans are a bunch of low-class deadbeats, and then ends up getting dubbed Mr. Monday Night. And then Jeff and Rob end up having a little decent match. And RVD
That
ends up,
job Jeff the fuck out.
yeah.
Like, that's in my notes. Like, basically, RVD got all his moves in and drew some heat, and Jeff didn't get shit.
But Jeff did his fucking job. Like, that's what he's there to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this was effective. I enjoyed it. It got Rob over. It got Jeff on TV. It got Lawler to be able to do his ECW stuff. And RBD ends up hitting the split-legged moonsault. He's not using the 5-star frog splash as a finisher yet, but he hits the split-legged moonsault and gets the 1-2-3. So it's a precursor to very much later down the line of two guys that are eventually going to work together a lot and do very, very good things.
Shit, pal.
Good shit, pal. So I liked it. And plus, in 1997, anybody our age, in our age range, could get that was ECW were like, hells yeah. Like, this is good shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good.
When this started, the whole WWF ECW feud, I wasn't getting ECW in my area, so it was actually telling me who the champions were, who was the biggest guys were on the roster because they kept popping up in WWE. So it was definitely welcomed.
Yes. So like I said, I enjoyed this. It did everything it was supposed to do, and that's basically what you want out of a wrestling segment. Did we hit it on everything? Did we hit everything that we needed to hit? Yes, we did. Did everybody do their job correctly? Yes, they did. Nothing wrong with it. I really enjoyed it. And there's no way that Rob Van Dam as a character can appear on WWF with Jerry Lawler and not go back to the ECW arena and have tons of heat.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Like, if he would have just been on there and had a match, like the ECW fans would be like, oh, that's cool. Rob was on there. It's like, wait, he's on there? He's fucking Lawler? Fuck this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I know ECW fans knew it was fake, but that was the best way to get.
At the time, Lawler was the ultimate ECW antagonist.
Yeah.
He was showing up on pay-per-view. He was beating up Tommy. So it was starting to piss people off. So for Van Dam to do that, yeah, it was the perfect thing for them to do for Van Dam to get over in WWE and get some heat in ECW.
Right.
And that ultimately, too, is what I was going to say was it might have not meant much to the people in that building, but that was also Vince giving Paul something. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like when we won't talk about it. It was kind of like when Vince did that thing with Lawler on the King's Court in like 93 or 92 or whatever it was, where he's kind of a heel to Lawler, so Lawler could take that footage back to Memphis. And yeah, it was a cool little segment. Like I said, it was an example of Vince not always being like selfish. Whatever. Right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. The next thing is part 2 of the story of Gold Dust, and like I said, I personally think these sit-down interviews with Dustin and Marlena were boring and really didn't do anything for me. It made Dustin's character made his character lame.
He's crying.
He's a crying, whining bitch.
I was crying because I had to watch it.
My daddy was mean to me. It's like, shut up. You're a grown man now. Did he hit you? Did he abuse you physically? No. He got mad at you in a fucking goddamn Chili's parking lot and drove away. Just shut up and eat it. And just stop. Have you seen your wife? What are you complaining about? Like, you're banging like a chick that looks like a fucking supermodel. Just shut the fuck up.
You see the way she smoked that cigar?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Shut the fuck up, Dustin. So I just, like I said, I don't think this did that character any
Favors? No,
Yeah, it didn't do anything.
not one bit.
Now talk to me in what is this, May?
The
Talk
second
to me.
round was great.
Talk to me. Yeah, I was gonna say, talk to me in 6 months. Because
Well, like-
the second round that they do after Brian Pillman dies is a whole other story. And we won't
Dustin goes crazy.
We won't really dig into it now. We'll dig into it then. But yeah, it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
But like the whole premise of this was like him trying to say, you know, he wanted to get out of the shadow of Dusty. But they constantly remind you that he's the son of Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
It's counterproductive.
Right.
I didn't enjoy it. And I think that's why they didn't go too much further with it. Now we're going to take a minute and tell you guys that the year that was is sponsored by Castrol GTX and Super Soaker. So that's exciting, right?
Wetter is better.
Wetter is better. And we're going to get there in a little bit. And there is no way, I don't want to spoil it, but there is no way that the person they chose for those commercials was by accident. They saw that quote.
Isn't it sunny?
He didn't say. Archie
He's
doesn't
still to get there.
Archie doesn't understand what a no spoiler is.
I love spoiling things. I don't wait for Christmas to open my gifts.
Says the guy who eats pizza with no cheese.
Hey, I told you that in confidence. In front of Nate.
Sorry, that was a spoiler.
Archie just jardined it. But yes, it's Sunny. Sunny is going to be
You said it's not.
It's okay. It's okay. But yes, Sunny is going to be the Super Soaker sales lady, and the tagline is "Wetter is better." There's no way that was a fucking accident.
Now, I heard she also said that to Bulldog before she left him for Shawn Michaels. But, I mean, that's just me.
Said that to a lot of people. Animals too. Then I didn't write a lot about the promo because it was pretty quick. But Undertaker addresses Paul Bearer, asking Paul to not tell the secret and give him more time, and then he also addresses Farouk. But he doesn't. He's not super talkative in this interview because he's just basically frustrated and doesn't really even want to be being interviewed.
He got the point across. It was definitely that was definitely productive.
Yeah, they fucked that. That's right. They did fuck up the promo too. Like you didn't hear a lot of it in the first time. You can tell that Taker was frustrated about that too. Like, is the first they attempt it's like Mark said they attempted to interview him and there was like no audio to it. So they just kind of fucked it up. So then the next thing is the Headbangers versus Philip LaFawn and Doug Furnas versus the New Blackjacks versus Owen and Bulldog. And there is a question that I have in this, and you guys can tell me if I'm completely wrong, but the time that Barry Windham and JBL were together, and I know it's not on the same level, but were they kind of like the faces of fear of the WWF?
I don't think so.
It's like these two big ass kickers. You're not going to put the belts on them, but they look impressive. They look dangerous. They look like they can fuck you up. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Possibly.
I'll say this. My impression of them was they were the not so charismatic smoking guns. That's just my impression.
Even though I know they at one point they had a title reign, I would actually say Bradshaw and Farouk were more like the faces of fear than Bradshaw and Wyndham.
Right. As the acolytes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. But I'm just saying, like, at this time.
I mean, I see what you're. I see where you're going with it, but
like these guys can lose, but it's not going to take the credibility of them being ass kickers away. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, I think honestly they would have had a better tag team run if you wouldn't have put the new Blackjacks on it.
I agree.
If it would have just been John Hawk Bradshaw and Barry Windham, or Justin Hawk, John Hawk, Justin Hawk,
Bradshaw, and the Stalker,
and the not the Stalker.
I know,
but you know what I'm saying? Like, anytime you put "new" on the front of something, it's not gonna.
Yeah, it was doomed. Was doomed before it began with that new logo.
But them as a team,
I had a problem with that match. So.
Yeah.
Because at one point, the whole Owen had his foot on the ropes thing. Well, that ref should have never slapped the mat that third time.
It might have been a miscue or something like that.
Like, legit, he legit counted the 3 count, but then he stands up and then they're pointing at his foot like it's on the rope, but you know he still did the 3 count, but they were like, no, like they didn't ring the bell or nothing. But my thing is if it's going to be he's got his foot on the rope, hit it twice, and then you know he's got his foot on the rope, get off of him.
Yeah.
Just that I really didn't like that aspect of it because it was like the ref botched.
The Blackjacks, they eliminate Furnace and LaFon. The Headbangers end up eliminating the Blackjacks with assistance from Furnace with Furnace and LaFon. So they're setting up a feud between the Blackjacks and LaFon and Furnace, and then Owen Hart and the Bulldog end up winning when Bulldog gets the power slam on Thrasher.
It was a good showing for the Headbangers, though. Like,
yes.
You could start taking them serious. Like, you seem like, all right, well, this kid's got something.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad, and I enjoyed it. The next thing is I'm going to rewind this a little bit because Nate, you said last time when I played audio just from my laptop, it worked okay, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm gonna play a little bit, and you can edit this out, Nate. I just want to see how the audio sounds with it. Okay.
Okay.
Are not comfortable with being. Well, I guess now we've already seen Stone Cold Steve Austin. God.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yep.
All right. Let me take it to the timestamp that I got. There's like way too much to like talk. Like, it's a promo that you can't write on like fucking write on paper and try to
put it over that way.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we're talking about the Brett and Sean thing.
Yeah. So after the Bulldog, Owen went in the Fatal 4-Way match. Bret Hart comes out. He asks everybody to shut up, and he says that he wants to address, like he cut some anti-American stuff or whatever. Then he sends the Hart Foundation away because he says he doesn't need them. He wants to do this on his own, and we're going to roll into yes. So we're going to roll into this promo, and I want you guys to bear with me because it's long, but it's really fucking good. It's one of the best things I've ever seen anybody do on wrestling television in my life. So
yeah, I got a synopsis of it too. If you don't
so,
want to do the long ass promo.
So you guys ready to bear with me on it?
Go for it.
All right. So here we go.
What do you want to do? Fight him? He's in a wheelchair. I don't know what he wants. Well, he's going to get his wish.
So it sounds
Listen
all right.
to the ovation for the Heartbreak Kid. I don't think there's ever been a rivalry that has been talked about as much worldwide as this issue between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy at all. I make him hot. I make him shiver. Cut the music. It's hurting my ears. Shawn Michaels, the boy toy. You know, there was a time when I just couldn't stand you. But now when I look at you, I realize that I hate your guts. And the reason that I hate your guts, to list all the reasons why I can't stand you and you make me sick. The biggest reason is, go ahead, take your jacket off. Make yourself at home. It symbolizes something, you taking your jacket off. It's like you're hot, you're cold, you're hot, you're cold. That's the story of your whole career. 1 minute you're hot and the next you're not. You know what bugs me about you is that it finally dawned on me. It's the way you dance around, you have this attitude, this arrogance, this cockiness. And it finally hit me. That's what you Americans all symbolize. You think you're better than everybody else. You think you can cop this attitude and look down at the rest of the world like you're better than us. Well, it's not true. It's not true at all. Because you're rotten through and through, all the way through to your insides. Just like America, craving your blood and guts and all your violence and crime on the streets. You love it. You love it all, and you hate it when somebody tells you the truth. And you hate it when somebody tells you the truth. Talk about rotting from the inside. It's just like ancient Rome. America, this great country that should be leading us into the 21st century, but instead, you're rotting from the inside, just like ancient Rome, and you're going to destroy yourself because you're being controlled and run by scum. Scum like this right here. You know, Shawn Michaels, boy toy, you ripped me off for the World Wrestling Federation Championship belt at WrestleMania 12 in a 60-minute Iron Man match. You screwed me out of that title, and you know it. And all you people stood by and let it go. You did nothing about it. So when I decided to come back, instead of facing me like a man, you didn't have the guts to face me like a man. Instead, you were too busy posing for girly magazines. Dancing around, kissing all the girls. Putting tattoos on yourself and earrings through your navel and your nose and your ears. Shaking your ass and making yourself a horse's ass. A self-professed degenerate. That's what you are. A self-professed degenerate. And when we talk about role models, you led the World Wrestling Federation. You took that World Wrestling Federation Championship belt in a reign of decadence. You know, Shawn Michaels, the biggest thing that bothers me about you is that you didn't have the guts to face me this year at WrestleMania. You didn't have the guts to face me one-on-one. You go ahead and talk about all the things. You talk about my mother and my family and how I signed for more money than any other wrestler in the history of the World Wrestling Federation and how I'm controlled by the almighty dollar. Who isn't controlled by the almighty dollar? That's a bunch of BS and you know it. The $1 million question. That's what Vince McMahon said to you last week. The $1 million question. That's all it was, is $1 million. Well, Shawn Michaels, it shouldn't concern you what I get paid. And it shouldn't concern you whether I got my mother and my father and the rest of my family in the front row. And it shouldn't concern you anything that I do. What should concern you is whether you really believe deep down in your guts and your heart, whether you're actually as good as me. And you pathetic, sick, violent people know.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep our cameras rolling.
That this piece of crap right here was never.
All right, now with the WWE, or what? It's not even the WWE anymore. But what Peacock does is they show you what happened after Jim Ross says that they're going to keep the cameras rolling. And I don't want to talk, and I mean, you guys can if you want, but I don't really want to talk about that on this because I'm trying to do what was broadcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to talk about that until next time.
The two things we didn't do my synopsis of it because that had that in it because it was on Peacock.
The two things I will say about that is, first of all, wow, Bret Hart was a prophet. The United States rotting from the inside and falling apart. Go figure. Look where we're at now.
Oh,
but
I
anyway,
thought you were going to say about Shawn being a degenerate.
Also,
you notice when he said that, I was like, "Are you ready?" I couldn't help myself. That would have been like the most awesome fucking thing of all time if when he said that music hit and then here comes Shawn Michaels' group of lackeys and this starts a feud between them and the Hart Foundation. That would have been good shit, pal.
Also, for the younger fans that don't know this, how crazy is it that wasn't written for that man?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
That was
Brett
Brett.
didn't need anything written for him, but that was pure hatred.
A good pro wrestler doesn't need anything written for them.
Right.
That's my point.
That was Bret Hart saying what he felt, doing it. And that's the crazy thing about Bret and Shawn is they fucking hated each other and were unprofessional with each other, like off camera and shit. Because Bret has as much unprofessional shit that he did as he can say that Shawn did. You know what I mean? But when the camera was on, they worked. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but they worked from real life. You know, that was real hatred being spewed out there. So
it was
easy for them.
It was, but they also understood that we're making money together too, though. Like Shawn has said it and Bret said it too. Like we're gonna get there eventually, but like when they got to Survivor Series and that whole match until the end of it, neither one of them, like that whole fight they had through the building or whatever, or any matches they had with each other, neither one of them fucking attempted to hurt the other one or be professional in it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but
yeah. There's a lot to unpack in what Bret was saying, and I'll let you guys talk about it. But I think this was Brett finally getting to basically, like I said, unload on what he thought about Shawn Michaels. And he claims that he didn't hear his cue, and that's why he kept going on in the show. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what Brett says. He didn't catch his cue to stop, and that's why they ended up going off the air. I don't know if he's being truthful in that, but that's what he's saying.
No, he's not.
Shawn
He cut Sean's throat, and he cut a promo. And what he did differently than Sean in a lot of instances was Brett would cut a promo, taking the digs, bringing the real stuff into it, but it still sounded like a wrestling promo.
Right.
At times, Sean sounded like It's funny because Brett cut the better wrestling promo, but Sean sounded more real in most instances because Sean didn't have the couth that Brett had to kind of work this. I don't know what to say. Brett wanted still kind of a layer of kayfabe to it, whereas Sean was just balls out,
Right.
Yeah.
And both of them swear in shoot interviews that their problems with each other always stemmed from they would make up like backstage, but then whenever they would get face to face in the ring or have to cut a promo on each other, one would say something totally out of line and it would piss the other one off. And that's why they'd go back to feuding in the backstage area. So I guess I could see it because neither guy held back when they were delivering a promo. So you told me of this, you said I was that, you did that. Of course I'm going to be pissed when you get backstage because you didn't cover it with me first. We didn't talk about it.
My whole thing was like he really dropped that he posed in Playgirl. He was like
Right.
posing in Girly magazine. Like that didn't do nothing but pop the female.
And I did laugh when he said it. I laughed the first time. Well, I've laughed every time I've watched that promo of Bret Hart being like out here shaking your ass. Like, I don't know why that always makes me laugh. He's like out here
Spitting you, taking your jacket off because you're hot and you're cold and you're like, damn, he's Katy Perry.
But I think that is one of the best promos ever cut in wrestling. And it's also cool. It's cool that Brett is in the chair. And I know he had to be in the wheelchair, but for some reason it's even cooler as a visual that he's looking up at Shawn yelling at him. You know what I mean? And Shawn's like looking down on him. It's kind of like it's I don't know if this makes sense or whatever, but it's kind of like a cool visual. You know what I mean? Like Brett is like, I'm at my most vulnerable right now, but I don't even care about that I'm in my most vulnerable state right now. I'm going to tell you exactly what I fucking think. And Shawn is just letting him go. And like, all right. And then next week, we're going to see what you didn't see this week of the outcome of it. But it's one of my favorite things that's ever been on Raw. And that's why I wanted to play it. And like I said, it was a lot to like, it was too much and too great to like write down and have my boring voice dictating it to you guys. So I really enjoyed it. And it's something that even as a kid, I was like fascinated by. Nothing else?
Brett and Sean is always going to be that heater of rivalry. Like there was real life tension there, and they kind of spilled out into what they were doing.
So that was how Raw went off the air with Brett berating Shawn Michaels, and I think that was a good Raw. Like I said, it was the ending was kind of either whether it was on purpose or not flubbed, but the end, in my opinion, was really good. And I didn't think that this Raw was. I wouldn't say that this Raw was the most memorable Raw, other than the Bret Hart thing, but I don't think it was. I wasn't mad after I watched it. You know, I mean, I feel like I wasted an hour and a half of my life. I enjoyed it.
No, I enjoyed it too, especially coming off of pay-per-view. They actually got a lot in leading into the new number one contender. Shawn and Brett starting their feud. Austin still pissed off about what happened. You know, it really, they hit all the marks on the big things.
Like I said, I appreciated this Raw, and if you guys are good finishing that up, if we can take a piss break or whatever, then we'll talk about Nitro. Is that all right?
Yep.
Good.
Sounds good.
And that'll give me time to timestamp fucking Lee Marshall.
Could timestamp me all you want, but it won't matter.
Sorry, I had somebody hit me up about a book.
What's that?
I had somebody hit me up about a booking, and he's actually got a Puerto Rican gimmick, and I'm kind of like trying.
No,
to
you're
get,
good.
right. Trying to get his information and all that good shit.
See that embarrassing shit with Flair and Carlos Colon?
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, that was two guys that can't help but bleed if they step on the wrong, step the wrong way.
Fucking hey, look at Carlos's forehead.
It looked fucking terrible. It's embarrassing.
Like when my granddad, like seeing two granddads fight at a wedding that neither wants to pay for.
I mean, I whatever. It's Flair's life. He can do what he wants with it. Live your best life, whatever. But I mean, this is all so embarrassing to me. I just.
Someone said there was talks of him talking about after the show went off, that show, whatever it was in Puerto Rico, went off the air, that he wants to do a last match tour in Puerto Rico. I mean, Jesus. Wasn't the money he made from the $250,000 gate they had and the 225 buys on pay-per-view enough? Or did Conrad screw him over?
You said 225 buys?
225 buys on pay-per-view and a 200.
That's all they had?
Yeah, that's all they. Who was going to pay for that, Mark?
Well, fuck, I did, motherfucker. I paid $35 for that shit.
Did you? Or did you watch it on a streaming site with me?
Nope, I bought it on Fight TV, so I didn't have to fucking worry about the stream getting taken down and having to click back in and all that shit.
Never got taken down. It was clear the whole night.
Well, fucking
I was not about to pay $35 for the Desert Ric Flair.
Well, he didn't die.
He almost did. You see him convulsing on the mat when he couldn't hold the brass knuckles?
Yeah, that was pretty pathetic.
I literally got scared. I'm sitting there going, okay, please don't die. Please don't die. Please don't die. And I'm sure Andrade was saying the same thing. He was like, hey, Poppy, get up. Come on, Poppy, get up. He's thinking in his head, Charlotte's going to kill me. But
One of the kittens I have, every time I open the refrigerator, he jumps in the refrigerator. This motherfucker.
That's funny. My granddaughter does the same thing.
It's like, man, I just want to get a beer. Get the fuck out of the fridge.
Is that what he tells you, or is that what you're telling him?
Maybe that's what he's trying to tell me. He's trying to tell me he wants a beer.
Give me a beer. You drink them all. I never get one. So did you guys see the bullshit with Sasha Banks standing like 100 feet away from everybody that was paying $130 to meet her?
Yeah. Did you see my post?
Yeah, it was hysterical. We used to have her throwing a tantrum on the floor. And she was doing some god-awful poses. She was giving the middle finger to the camera. She was doing West Side fingers and sticking her tongue out. Like, at least try to look cute in the pictures then. You know what I mean? So this way I could say, hey, look, I met Sasha Banks, not I met a gangster.
Well, I'm sure she'll be on Raw Monday.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing because they're starting the tournament for the titles back up. Or they're going to wait till the tournament's over and have her and Naomi walk out with the belts.
Well, it's like she sits there with her tongue out like she's waiting for a cum shot or some shit.
Right.
Like
at least
that's
if you were
cute.
at least if you were sitting next to her, it wouldn't be bad. But
That part.
I think we'll probably see Gargano in the next few weeks too.
yeah, I think so.
Possibly.
He's going to finish up whatever conventions and indie things he's got to do, and then probably do a pop-in. Which I wouldn't mind if Ciampa won the United States title and then Gargano came in as his next challenger and start that feud over again, only on the main roster.
Right.
You know, give him a damn 60-minute Iron Man match. Let him settle it out. You know.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I just tried to text my wife and call her beautiful, right? And fucking autocorrect put in Bray. I said that's how you can tell I talk about wrestling way too much.
Right. He's like, who's Bray?
No, she definitely knows. I was like, because that was my next message was, you can tell I talk about wrestling way too much.
Who's Brave? Don't worry, honey. I was just telling you I was going to let you in. The hell was that? When did Michael Buffer get on the
It was
show?
Michael Buffer.
I know who it was.
Don't pay him or don't play him on the show. Shit. I don't want to pay that
I'm not
much.
doing that.
Bruce will sue us immediately.
We can just mention the fact that Bruce Buffer did the introduction for Nitro was epic.
Right. That's all we can say.
All right, I just wanted to get that queued up.
Are you on Peacock?
Yeah.
Did you just pause it?
I did.
Didn't this happen to you, Nate?
Because what's going to happen is by the time you get to it, it's going to start the show over again. So
No, it's not because I did that with Brett and it played fine.
how long before you did it? It doesn't matter. Whatever. We'll find out.
I did it at the beginning of when we logged in and started talking. I got it all set up.
All
And
right.
here's some funny shit. My wife said, so now I'm not only turned into a bearded man, but at least I can walk and do a back bend with it.
And
Yeah,
she's
Nate,
leader. She's the leader of a cult.
Right.
For some reason, if I pause it on my laptop, it doesn't like
Oh, okay.
restart or whatever.
Aaron found the hack.
Yeah. Only the Peacock only fucks me apparently. All right. Nitro. Let me write the time down though.
It's 11:26 p.m.
I'm talking about the stream time.
I know.
It's 11:26. Do you know where your children are?
I don't have any that I know of.
Odds are mine's across the hall watching fucking YouTube.
Yeah,
That's what mine.
mine's are doing the same thing.
Or playing his Xbox.
Right.
Mine's probably across the hall watching TikTok.
There you go. Same thing.
Nate, yours could be watching Pornhub too. You don't know.
On his Xbox. On his Xbox.
Who told him about Pornhub? His Uncle Eric?
No, how old is he now? 23?
He's 20.
Oh.
20? He knows about.
Good shit, pal. And Nate's like, I got to change that timestamp.
Every
Fuckers
fucking
ruined it.
time.
Fuckers ruined it.
All right, so we ready to roll into Nitro?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody that's listening, all 6 of you, I appreciate it. But we are now going to roll into. It's probably more than 6. Nate told me I'm not the curtain jerker. He told me his show was. It might not be anymore. I don't know. His show comes out more consistently than mine does. It takes
Might
time.
be after the Chad Austin fucking episode of mine airs.
I'm going to listen to that. Probably in the
It's
car.
out. It's out. It's out right now.
I know.
Available.
I'm going to listen to it in the car on the way to work and the way back. And that's one thing I do want to say, guys, is that I apologize that my show doesn't come out as quickly as everybody else's does, but you can't rush perfection. Like you gotta.
Plus,
You
you always wait for me to do it.
Oh, yeah. I like this group. I want this. Is this a 4-man? It's a 4-man booth.
He needs the 4 horsemen.
That's right. I like consistency. Consistency over quantity. That's what I strive for on the year that was ... But we're rolling into the WCW Monday Nitro from May 12th, 1997. We're rolling into Slamboree, which is going to be this weekend. We're in Baltimore, Maryland. So I'm wondering if a middle-aged Chad Austin was in the crowd, possibly.
Definitely.
Oh, without a doubt.
Michael Buffer ends up opening the show with the Let's Get Ready to Rumble. The Macho Man comes out with Liz and says that he's healed now and beat DDP so bad that he's now on crutches and challenges DDP to fight him later. The funny thing about this is this angle between DDP and Macho Man is really good, okay? But it lasted so much longer than what it should have because Savage got hurt. They were getting ready to get into it legitimately. And then when Savage got better, DDP legitimately got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I really feel like at the last pay-per-view, they wanted to like shoot their shot with it. And then in Slamboree, it was supposed to happen. And I never want anybody to get hurt or anything. But these guys getting their injuries made it even better. If that makes sense. Like,
Well, I like the way that Macho was like, I'm healed. Like it miraculously happened. Like he didn't know. Yeah, I feel better. It's good to go.
But I feel that these injuries like forced Eric Bischoff and Kevin Sullivan to do long-term booking with this thing. And that's why I think once they finally get to their match, their one-on-one match, it was even better than what it would have been. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the other note I have is that Miss Elizabeth was always a attractive and beautiful person, but she was like a fucking bottle of wine, in my opinion. Like she was like the chick that got better looking the older she got. And I know she left us at like fucking 42 years old, but do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like at this point, 38-year-old Liz is better looking than 22-year-old Liz in the WWF.
I always say that, Aaron. Whenever like me and a buddy talk about Miss Elizabeth or whatever, She was gorgeous in WWE, but for some reason, when she got to WCW, it was like, damn, Liz got even better looking.
Yeah. So, and like I said, she was always attractive, always beautiful, did her job perfectly, but good Lord. And I'm not trying to sound like a perv or anything, but that's just what I'm trying to say. Then Sting apparently wants to speak one-on-one with Eric Bischoff later tonight, and he won't speak to anybody but Eric Bischoff. So unless you guys have anything about the opening with Buffer, let's get ready to rumble. Coming out. I wanted to speak to Eric Bischoff. You guys got anything on any of that?
Nope.
I probably wouldn't have said that whole "let's get ready to rumble" thing because
I have two things that I need to say here. One, every time you say "let's get ready to rumble," we owe him $100. And two, Sting wasn't really speaking at this time, so him speaking to Eric Bischoff one-on-one was a dead giveaway. He was looking to beat with Bischoff's ass.
Yes. It's like there's been a meeting called between you and the mime.
Right. I wonder what's going to happen there.
I'm in a box.
He won't come out of his inbox.
In a nutshell.
The opening match is Juventud Guerrera versus Ultimo Dragon for the TV Championship. William Regal, he's not William Regal. Lord, he's not Lord either. Fuck. Steven Regal cuts a promo about being the best. It's like a corner promo. Like he's not out in the arena. He's cutting a promo backstage, pre-tape. Cuts a promo about being the best wrestler in the world. And he's going back to his roots. And he's no longer going to be Regal-esque with his manners and all that. He's going back to when he was in the snake pit and fighting in the tar pits of India and all this shit. Basically, Steven Regal saying, "I'm going to be a badass again," and he wants to fight. He wants to fight.
If I'm not mistaken, his exact words was, "I'm stepping away from nobility and I'm going back to my dirty scoundrel self."
Yeah, which is fucking awesome. And he wants to fight Ultimo Dragon at Slamboree and get his TV title back. And as he's cutting that promo, the match is going on, and Ultimo Dragon ends up beating Juventud Guerrera with the Dragon Sleep. So it was a basic TV match between these two guys, and was a way of getting the new persona of Regal over and getting towards Ultimo Dragon versus William Regal at Slamboree.
Did they put their best foot forward on this one? Like, legit, this was the best match on the card, in my opinion. It was smash mouth, fast paced, and hard hitting. Sonny Ono getting involved was a nice touch, and the Ultimo Dragon, he was a ring general.
So like I said, I had nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong with this opening match. Nate, you got anything?
Nope.
Archie sounds like he's got a run in going on. Yeah, he's got a mute.
I do have a run, and I'll be right back.
You're cool. All right. Mean Gene Okerlund introduces Roddy Piper, Kevin Green, and Ric Flair. Green says he's got to pay taxes. You're gonna. I don't know what I wrote down here. Kevin Green says that Mongo's got to pay his taxes. You're gonna die. That's what he says. He says you're gonna die.
He says that's three things you can bet on.
Yeah, that's what it was. There's two things you can bet on. You got to pay your taxes, and at Slamboree Mongo, you're gonna die, or not Mongo, the NWO, you're gonna die, and that he's gonna break his foot off in your ass. Promo on the NWO. And then Roddy Piper says that he's a starving T-Rex and then does a dinosaur impersonation.
Never know what Roddy you're going to get.
It was pretty fucking gold though.
This was pretty rough in my opinion. It's like this is the angle, like when they go into the match, and we're gonna get there, is really good. But to me, this was like this thing's reaching its end. You can get out of it promo wise.
The one thing I'll say is I look back on this, and if I would watch this now, or when I have watched it, recently or whatever, one of the big things I say all the time is, at the time, and probably just because at the time, and Aaron knows, I was much more a WWF guy than a WCW guy. At the time, I was just like meh about the Kevin Green thing. When you go back and watch it retrospectively, he was actually really good.
Oh, he was. And like I said, I'm not trying to knock him or anything, but I just think, and like, part of me is glad that the Slamboree pay-per-view's coming up, because if this would have went 2 more weeks, it would have overstayed its welcome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in the promo, he hit his little bullet points. He got out the way, let Flair get on the mic, let fucking Piper get on the mic, and then it transitions into what we're gonna find out next, because I'm pretty sure that's your next point on it.
So then the NWO, or the NWO members, Kevin Nash, Six-Pac, and Scott Hall appear on the screen. They basically tell Piper to eat their dicks, and Pac says that Ric Flair is an old lady. Ric Flair's old. He doesn't say Ric Flair's an old lady. He says
his old lady.
His old lady is basically blowing him. So X-Pac is basically fucking Beth Flair at this point, is what he's claiming. And then Kevin Nash says that they have one more stipulation they're putting into the match. That it is not only do they get 75% of the gate, but it is now no DQ or count out. And they also claim that they are not
a falls count anywhere.
Yes. And they claim that they are not in Baltimore. They are in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hence why Flair's old lady was leaving his hotel room while Flair was going to work.
Yeah. So it was, and like I said, it was like a black and white NWO promo. It was decent. But like I said, this thing is, I'm super glad that it's. I'm not super glad that it's ending because I didn't enjoy it. I'm super glad it's ending because it's about to. If, like I said, if it would have went
Climax,
would have jumped the shark. Yeah, it would have. It would have been like Sean Waltman with Beth Flair, with a climax all over the place, with a sticky finish.
It reached its peak.
So, unless you guys got anything on that, we'll move on.
Nope.
Now we roll into. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for one of the guys in this match. It is Dean Malenko versus Mongo McMichael. And Mongo is accompanied by Deborah and Jeff Jarrett. And I got to say this. Dean Malenko is a credit to his business because he got a decent and I'm not knocking Steve McMichael, but Dean Malenko got a passable match at a Mongo McMichael. And that shouldn't be discounted.
Right.
I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves in the business. He gets the credit that he deserves within the business of the wrestlers and true wrestling fans, but I don't think he gets talked about enough as being as fucking good as he was.
The Carpenters never do.
And Dean was a step above all of them, in my opinion.
I mean, it's always like the people who actually erected the frame on the house gets the credit, and nobody who poured the foundation is even mentioned.
So Dean has to go in this match with Mongo. He makes chicken salad out of chicken shit. Jarrett ends up tripping up the referee. Mongo, it's a big clusterfuck. The referee gets bumped, and then Reggie White runs out, and he's blown up, just running to the ring, and he hits Mongo with the briefcase, and Dean Malenko ends up rolling up Mongo and getting the victory.
I put that the Reggie White run-in looked like he was trying not to shit his pants. Just watch the way he runs to the ring. It really looks like he's like, I got bad diarrhea. I ate Taco Bell on the way down here.
Diarrhea, cha-cha-cha. Diarrhea, cha-cha-cha.
It's probably that he was trying to not look like he shit his pants. Like he probably did.
But Malenko pulling off the upset to me was kind of perfect because then it plants that doubt that White could actually pull off the victory against Mongo.
So I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this Mongo Reggie White shit to be over with. It's the yin to the yang of what Nate was saying about Kevin Green. Like Reggie White wasn't any good in my opinion.
His promo actually wasn't that bad to me, and I like how they brought in the football rivalry aspect of it all. But like, you're not gonna expect this going to be like five-star classic shit. But I mean, for what it was all right to me.
There are wrestling celebrities, and I'll say this because honestly, my two, and I don't want to get in the weeds, but my two favorite wrestling celebrities, or I guess other guys from other sports or personalities or celebrities that came into wrestling. My two favorite, I could name three, but I'll just go with two, just for the sake of shortening this conversation. My two favorites are Tyson and Pat McAfee. All right.
Yep.
And I would put Kevin Green in the class of a Tyson or Pat McAfee, where I would put, and this is no disrespect to him, but I would put Reggie White more in the perspective of like a Snooki. He's just there to get the paycheck, you know what I mean? Whereas a Kevin Green or a Mike Tyson or a Pat McAfee, you can tell they're passionate about it and they really want to be there and they want to put in the work, and you know what I mean?
They're actual fans of the product.
They care, yes.
Right.
Pat
yeah,
McAfee,
yes. I just compared wrestling Reggie White to Snooki. I'm sorry, everybody,
but Pat McAfee to me isn't even a wrestling celebrity, or isn't even a celebrity.
Not anymore. Not anymore. No, that's
McAfee's in wrestling now, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's one of the best things about it.
Right. He was legitimately like Nate said though, he is a celebrity because he comes from that world as a punter for the Colts, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I get what Nate's saying, but I think McAfee's so fucking good that
Yeah,
I
he
don't
has
even
he has transitioned into being a
like
wrestling.
I don't
guy.
even think of oh, look at this football guy in wrestling. I just think of like this guy's in fucking wrestling. Like, he's a guy. He's one of the boys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, McAfee's great.
You know what the best thing about Maximum Male Models is? Pat McAfee. He makes it entertaining by commentating about it.
Yeah, he puts that shit over like a
He does. He fucking sells it. Even though it's complete fucking garbage, he sells the shit out of it. He's like, Maximum Male Models. I love that guy. Anyway, go ahead. We're talking about 97 right now.
I know. Well, I'll say this, and I kind of opened up the show, the Nitro, talking about Liz looking good or whatever, and I was like, I'm not a pervert or whatever, but that chick that is now fucking LA Knight's quote unquote sister, like, good lord, where'd she come from? God damn. What's her Maxine Knight or whatever? I don't fucking Maxine Dupree or whatever. Whew. Anyway, we get Reggie White's stupid promo after the match or after his run in. And then we're going to roll into the 1-800 Collect Road Report from Lee Marshall. Are you guys ready for this audio?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's hear Archie Mitchell speak.
To the Blue Ridge Mountains in the mountains of North Carolina and Asheville, where Lee Marshall is standing by on behalf of 1-800 Collect. Hello there, Stagger Lee.
Tony, you know, I wish I could join you guys in Baltimore, but as you said, I'm enjoying a party, a nitro party in one of the most scenic, beautiful, and just breathtaking parts of the country. But fans here in Asheville are not holding their breath and getting tickets for next Monday's Nitro. It comes from the Asheville Civic Center, and fans do not wait any longer. Call the box office first thing tomorrow morning. Now, guys, when you get to Asheville, make sure you drive along the Blue Ridge Parkway. That's considered the most scenic roadway in all of America. And then visit the Biltmore Estate. You guys know that Asheville's Biltmore Estate has 250 rooms. It sits on 8,000 acres. It's the largest home in America. But before you just drop in, you need to know they're pretty strict at that Biltmore Estate, because the first thing you're going to see is a huge sign, the one that says no shoes, no shirt, no weasels. That's your 1-800 Collect Road Report from Asheville, North Carolina. I'm Lee Marshall for 1-800 Collect.
What the people don't know is Lee Marshall's also sitting on 8,000 acres. Do you owe him money or something? He's always on you.
I'm glad you played that part because that was epically hilarious to me. Do you owe him money or something?
He's always on you.
It's not what Marshall says. It's what's said after Marshall speaks.
Yeah.
Right, it's when Zabisco puts that shit over.
What people, and Bobby's great too. He's sitting on 8,000. He's also sitting on 8,000 acres. Essentially saying that Lee Marshall has a huge
Big
ass.
Good shit, pal.
It's good shit, pal. Yeah, Zabisco being like, do you owe him money or something? It's like,
He's always on you.
Yeah. It's like watching these hour nitros. I wish that Bobby and Zabisco were together more. But the music you heard going in that was Scotty Riggs, who's still coming out to the American Males music and doing the little clap gimmick. He is going into his one-on-one match with Wrath.
It confused the shit out of me though, because I thought it was Mortis at first.
Yeah, but it's not good because I'm not a Brian Clark fan. If people are, that's cool, but I never really any incarnation of Brian Clark I wanted nothing to do with. Glacier, he comes out and stared at them from the stage. And Wrath ends up winning that match with what was his
the higher elevation rock bottom.
Yeah,
that's what I put. Like essentially, that's what his finisher is the rock bottom from a higher elevation.
But they're calling it the death penalty. It's lame. So then the next match is Conan and Hugh Morris versus Ice Train and Alex Wright accompanied to the ring by Teddy Long. The Dungeon of Doom end up starting the match with a quick attack, and Alex Wright runs away because he's getting over his heel gimmick. But then they go to commercial, and Alex Wright ends up coming back to the ring, and he is working as a cocky heel. And then once again, Alex Wright ends up deciding to leave, and I didn't even write down the fucking finish. Sorry. Hugh Morris and Conan ended up winning. I'm assuming fucking Hugh Morris ended up hitting a moonsault. Is that the finish?
It was the moonsault, and then Conan hit the tequila sunrise and made him tap.
Yeah, because
my thing with this whole thing, it was like, all right, you just had Glacier, do that whole thing with Wrath and them. That would have made more sense to put him with Ice Train, because at least the fucking gimmicks are somewhat, parable. You got Alex Wright and Ice Train. Where on God's green earth does that fucking make sense? Like,
yeah, this thing, this was rough, and I've talked about a few times that I actually, and not foreshadowing anything, but it doesn't last much longer. But I actually enjoy Conan and Hugh Morris as a tag team.
Yeah, they weren't bad together.
Yeah,
but like, I had two more bullet points on this fucking match that really irked the shit out of me. Like, Alex Wright, he tags in from the wrong damn corner. And then you see Conan go to the opposite corner. So it's like he forced him to go to that opposite corner. Because, alright, well, if he's going to fuck up, I got to cover this. And then the ref, he starts the 5 count. When the other guy's in the ring, you're supposed to, get out. He stops at 4. Even despite the guy not being out of the fucking ring, he just stops at 4. There's no realism of that. Because, all right, if I'll put it this way. If I had a referee booked for my show and this happened, when he got back to the back, he would, for one, no longer be working my shows. For two, I would chew his ass so much it would look like Carlos Colon's forehead.
It would literally be Carlos Colon.
Right. Like, it's certain things you don't do, and to me, that's the biggest pet peeve. Like, you got to keep that aspect of it, because Conan wasn't getting out the fucking ring, despite the referee over there doing his 5 count. And in that sense, Conan should have at least stepped back through the ropes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to keep that whole aspect of the ref is in charge here.
Or if he's getting to the 4 and he doesn't want to do the 5, he should at least have inserted himself in it. You know what I mean?
Right. But no, he just sits there and watches what the hell is going on like a mark.
So, like I said, this was terrible. This is the worst thing that I've seen in this week of 1997 was this fucking Conan, Hugh Morris, Ice Train, Alex Wright match. It was fucking bad.
In the decision making process, if you have a 1 hour nitro, so you don't even have the time that you normally have, why do you put this on the show?
Why is that your main event?
Right.
Like I said at the beginning of this, whenever we were talking about the Ultimo Dragon and Juventud match, that was the best fucking match of the night. Like, it was wrestling sound, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Like, legitimately, that was, to me, out of everything that happened on this whole entire show, that was my favorite thing. From a wrestling standpoint.
Yeah. So then the next thing we get is an actual wrestling angle. The NWO members, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Six, were lying when they said they were in Charlotte, because they're actually in Baltimore, and they mug Roddy Piper backstage and kick him in his artificial hip and run away. So the NWO lied, is saying they were out of town when they were actually there, and they lay Piper out. And
Yep.
it was good in the aspect of, like, Shivani was like, there's something happening in the backstage area, and the cameraman had to run to it, as opposed
But
to,
when he gets there, he meets Six dead in the face. It was like it was no mistake who the hell did it, because you're right there at his face. Like, you cannot cover up the fact that was Sean fucking Waltman.
yeah, but what I like about it is that it wasn't like how it would be now, where there was just a camera there.
I
You know
got
what I
you.
mean?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we didn't know there's something happening. What's happening? We don't know what's happening. And you actually see a cameraman like running to catch it, and it's like in a fucking locker room. It's just, it was a
It gave you
mugging.
that inside access to the WCW backstage also.
Yeah. So I appreciated the realism, quote unquote, of it. So then Eric Bischoff now comes out,
And he should
and
have stayed in the back.
he's going to interview Sting. Because he says Sting wants to talk to him or whatever, and then Bischoff says that he's a man of his word and introduces Sting, but it's an obviously bogus Sting. The people knew it was a bogus Sting because they
He
were
didn't
looking up.
want to stay fake Sting, because that's what it was like. When you say that, like, legit, when I see it, that's fake Sting. Yeah, it resonates with me.
Yeah, it was one of those Stings with like a plastic mask on with like the fucking bowl cut wig or whatever. It's like, we know this isn't Sting. Bischoff is talking to Sting, and he's saying like, will you admit that Hogan's better than you? Da 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 da. And bogus Sting is shaking his head yes, and just all this shit. Then real Sting ends up arriving to the arena and into the ring, and he drops fake Sting, and then Eric Bischoff runs away, and that's how we end Nitro.
Like a straight pansy.
As well he should have.
Yeah.
Um,
What was that? The Scorpion Death Drop that he hit him with?
yeah. And
Like, legit, it was like a punch, and then you go straight into the Scorpion Death Drop. Boom. Bischoff's like, oh, fuck, let me get the fuck out of here.
yeah. This Nitro was pretty lackluster in my opinion, and it feels to me that it was a show that that Kevin Sullivan was basically petering out going into his pay-per-view, in my opinion.
Legitimately, if you had to grade it on a scale as if you were in school, I would have gave Raw an A-, and I would have gave Nitro a D. Not a D- or a D+, just a straight D. Because that shit did not pass with me. Literally, it was all I could do to keep my eyes open during those 45 minutes.
Yeah, just this Nitro was rough, and I wasn't entertained by it at all. Other than fucking Zbyszko and Bobby, I didn't really have anything that came out of it where I was like, oh, that was great. I just feel like
Well,
this is
it's also like they tricked you, because at the very beginning, you see that match between Juventud and Ultimo, and you're like, all right, well, this might be worth a shit. But the rest of the show, it kind of like just trickled down, like it was a mudslide of shit.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't enjoy it at all, and it was. I just think it was them running out of fucking ideas going into their pay per view, and that's apparently how we're gonna end my show on a sour note of how shitty that Nitro was.
It's the Nitro going through the motions.
Yes.
Yep. Bowel movements. I've had bowel movements that were more exciting than that Nitro.
So at the end of this show, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. Nate, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, I was just gonna say, like Mark said, it was you can obviously tell, and this is the story of '97 in that a lot of times you can see it in '97, and it's been stated before, especially I always think of Mick Foley. '97 in '97, the WWF had a better product. WCW just had the momentum, so they kind of WCW is essentially running off of the steam of their boom, but it's slowly going downhill. I know business doesn't really drop off till '99, but you go through '97 and '98 WCW, and it's on the downward spiral.
Yeah, it's like, how the fuck did they make it through this?
Yeah, and they made it through it by it's kind of like the WWF in '91, '92. It's just that people recognize them as the best promotion based on something they did 2 years ago or a year ago. You know,
WCW is moving. This might not be the best way to phrase it, but WCW, like Bischoff and Sullivan, were in a status quo type mind. You know what I mean? Like they got to here, and they're like, "All right, we're here, status quo. Let's just keep going with it." Whereas the
We got Hogan, we got Flair. Like, watch us.
Whereas the WWF was like, "Okay, we're getting momentum," but they didn't go, "Okay, we got momentum now. Let's just coast." They were like, "We need more. We need to."
And that's because Vince McMahon was a genius.
Yes.
And my whole thing with it is, I would have gave Raw A+ if it hadn't been for that referee botch and the whole Scott Putski thing. That's just I legit would have gave it an A+ because Raw was actually compelling and they told stories and it made you want to watch what the hell's going to happen next.
All right, guys. So unless you got anything else, I think it's going to start raining here in a minute. I need to go inside. But
I mean, like I said earlier, this week's episode of March Indie Spotlight has the original Stone Cold Chad Austin. So tune in, listen to that. That's really good shit. We had a great conversation. If you're not listening to anything else on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network, I really don't know what the hell you're doing with your life, because we have everything from the current product to the days of old to what's happening with superstars, getting an inside look at the up and comers on the indie spotlight, and yeah, like, listen to us. We got good shit.
There's something for everyone on the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network, and coming up this week, we will be recording it this week, and you will hear it by the end of the week on Reliving the Extreme. This week we will be discussing November to Remember 1994,
and we're going to do it live. Remember?
Yep, and also the We Can't Wrestle podcast this week is a long ass episode. As we continue our journey through the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500. It went longer than normal just because I wanted to get to the top 50 so that next week we can roll through the top 50 and be done with it. And then after that, on the We Can't Wrestle podcast, we will do the Hall of Shame and then trivia. So 2 of our favorite things to do, the Hall of Shame and trivia, coming up on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. That and so much more. Aaron, I'll let you sign off. It's your show.
Can I drop a spoiler though?
Yes.
For the Hall of Shame, my first nominee, because I got other ones, but my first nominee is going to be Scott Putski.
Well, I gave a spoiler a couple of weeks ago on the show. One of my inductees is Billy Jack Haynes' wig. So,
Well, I appreciate that, guys.
fix it and forget it.
Yeah. We'll end the show saying I appreciate you guys and Archie being on the show, and I appreciate everybody that's listening to it. And like you guys said, we all there. If you can't find a podcast that suits you on the WrestleNet or We Can't Wrestle Podcast Network, I don't know.
It's one of those two, damn it.
If you can't find a show on our network that you don't like or that speaks to you, then just I don't know what to tell you. But I appreciate you guys listening to the show. I appreciate you guys contributing tonight, and thank everybody for listening, and goodbye.